I thought I would do a series of short videos on my Burrows and Badgers collection, but I thought the first one probably should just be giving a bit of context. What is Burrows and Badgers? I guess it is, at its most basic, what it says on the tin. A skirmish game, a tabletop skirmish game, using dice and measuring sticks, measuring tape, with anthropomorphic animals. Kind of a cross between Games Workshop's grim, dark Mordheim skirmish game, set in a city with different crews, factions running around trying to achieve various things, with all manner of beasties hiding in the ruins, and basically Wind in the Willows. And I suppose the whole venture is really underpinned by the absolutely fantastic sculpting skills of Michael Lovejoy. These are all basically one-piece sculpts, and they're real old hammer principles of kind of sculpting. He finds one interesting area, goes to town on that one, and everything else is fairly basic, but that means it's much easier to paint. A lot of people, I think, are drawn to the genre of anthropomorphic animals just because of the cutesy wootsiness of childhood memories of things like Wind in the Willows. But for me, all of this anthropomorphic stuff really goes back to The Secret of Nim, the 1982 Don Bluth cartoon, which just spellbound me.
We cannot stay here much longer. Jonathan was a dear friend. I am lost in knowing how to help his widow.
No singing Disney princesses here. Just a clear mission to move to the lee of the stone.
Perhaps best that I do nothing at present.
Peril with the farmer's cat.
I'll miss him. Jonathan, wherever you are, your thoughts must comfort her tonight. She'll be waiting, yet you will not return.
And a recognition in the first scene that things don't always end well. Look at the power of the opening.
My friend.
Here it comes. And I was interested to see that Michael Lovejoy, the creator of the game, kind of shares that vision of what his world of Burrows and Badgers is like. It's not about the cute, adorable and whimsical. He leaves it up to us, but it's about the grim darkness, the things that Games Workshop did to us as kids. Destroyed our hopeful and aspirational youth for the world of grim dark fantasy or the grim dark future. And a lot of these kind of thoughts get shared in the little occasional magazine, PDF magazine that Burrows and Badgers seems to have. Oh, right, that's not it. I think that's the latest one. I need to have a look back and find out which one kind of sets out a kind of parity of crews set of rules, a bit like Blood Bowl, where instead of getting kind of a few extra points or buffs which don't really make much of a difference, you can actually, if there's enough of a disparity, you can actually get an extra kind of mercenary to keep things a bit even. But I'll look into that one. Anyway, on to the game. So throughout the Burrows and Badgers rulebook, there is just loads of fantastic original artwork by Gary Chalk, who I think many watching this will remember as one of the artists for a lot of the original sort of 80s and 90s Games Workshop rule books. There's no kind of rolling to hit and then rolling to damage. There's a clever mechanic where it's all kind of wound up into one. So you roll your dice for the attacker. That there's a against the block statistic of the defender, and basically the difference is, how many wounds there are going to be. But the other innovation is that a lot of the mechanics are the hard work is done by the dice. So the better your statistic, you roll one of the bigger dice, like a D8, a D10. If you can get there in the campaign, a D12. I can't remember if it goes to D20. And if you're not that good, it's just D4s, D6s. Whenever I roll strike dice against block dice, I always imagine the cut and thrust of a scene like this.
Destroy everything. I've learned this much. Take what you can, when you can.
Oh, I love Jenna. He should have been an investment banker or gone into private equity or something. Oh no, credit crunch. But there's obviously a bit more juice in it than that, because loads of different characters naturally come with certain skills, and you can, in the same way as Mordheim or many of these kind of campaign games, you can over time build skills into your characters, and they obviously get injured, and so it's a bit of a balance there. Magic plays a role, either Mr. Froggy or Mr. Toady. And you've got your usual bevy of, fireball type spells, range spells, defensive spells, buffing spells for you and your mates, debuffing spells to make other guys on the other crew, a bit less effective. My personal favourite is the one where you take one of your guys who's not actually that good at fighting, light them up as a fireball themselves, and they just run around the enemy, and anyone they kind of touch takes, chipped damage. And there are a reasonable range of scenarios. It's not just running around killing each other. You do have to, do certain things in the face of challenges from the enemy crews. And at the end of games, there's an injuries table which is frankly fairly punishing, although not compared to kind of Mordheim and Gorka Morka, where people always seem to be cripples very quickly and deranged and frenzied. But there is a lot of good fun in the kind of career progression chart for each of your little beasties. And we'll get into this when I share further specific videos on the individual miniatures that I've done, because I think everyone kind of searches on YouTube for a particular thing rather than just general things. But just look at the quality of the sculpting, the character. And character just oozes out of every single miniature, each of which tells a little story in and of itself, not just from their expression or what they're, what it looks like they're about to do, but the kind of the costumes that they're wearing, each reflects some kind of motif, usually drawing on the various anthropomorphic kind of tales we'll all be familiar with, but also various bits of history. And the most amazing thing is that the sculptor, the creator of this little enterprise, Michael Lovejoy, is out there just following what people are doing with his miniatures. So I just posted on the Lead Adventure forum just willy-nilly saying, look, I've painted this owl. I'm not really into painting animals. I'm normally painting orcs, and I've never really done feathers like this. And, the way I've done it, I said, it looks like someone has just painted blackish brown bits onto these feathers. How do I make it look more natural? And then suddenly the sculptor comes on and starts offering all manner of detailed, helpful, technical painting advice. And so it seems like a kind of nice, almost safe space of a little game, where beautiful miniatures get released, usually by a Kickstarter, but also on the Oswan Miniatures website. Once in a while, you can choose to buy them or not. There's none of this kind of bigger company thing, no names, where, buy it this weekend or it's gone forever. and let's release dozens and dozens of random books which make the ones that you've got redundant, in the name of the metaverse. I don't know what that means, the meta gaming universe. And I've enjoyed the games I've played. Largely enjoying the slight menace of the comical and the cutesy. Like here, you alternate players, alternate movement of figures, and so every time the bunny over there tries to do anything, I would just fly in another bird in a scene of the ominous birds, that Hitchcock horror film. There's a definite sense generally of a throwback to kind of medieval Elizabethan kind of England, maybe early Victorian England, that kind of green and pleasant land type thing. And it's brought out a lot in the kind of setups people set out. And the question is, where's the game going to go now? Because although the miniatures are beautiful, and I bought a huge number of these, the gaming system can only cope with, whatever it is, 10 per crew. And so what's going to happen next? I suppose they could do a larger kind of gaming system, which can cope with more miniatures, kind of like I think they did with the Walking Dead All-Out War. I know they've started a kind of potential gaming system for some kind of sports game. Entertainingly, albeit somewhat predictably, it's called Furball, and it does look like a lot of fun. It reminds me of some kind of, I can't remember, it wasn't called handball, but in all these public schools, they've got their own kind of bespoke games. Again, a ye olde England kind of thing. And this one reminds me of that. But I don't think they should go down this too much. My sense is they should just, embrace all the amazing animals out there in different cultures and do like, I reckon Oathsworn Miniatures should go like global and do like the exotic animals of South America in Aztec and Inca kind of get-ups. Or what about the cute animals of Australia just beating each other to kind of death in the struggles of a post-apocalyptic Mad Max Australasian environment? I mean, that's not a bad idea, is it? But one for the future. I think we'll leave it there. Please do like and subscribe. And also, by all means, if you are one of those people out there who's had the patience to watch this, even though they themselves can paint really well, please do tell me if you have any comments on how to paint fur better, because, it is a bit challenging. But equally, I want to find the right balance between painting these, them looking as good as I can get them, but not spending more than, a couple of hours on each. So there you have it. See you all soon.